Right, we're just starting today's video in the greenhouse. We've only been in here for 2 minutes and we're going to go up to the allotment. We'll get some stuff done up there, but I wanted to show you something because I've got a funky new gadget. And I was speaking to Tony about this on Potty Mouth, so you might have heard me talking about it, and I wanted one. And it's a little, it's like a conditions monitoring device. So it monitors the humidity, high and low temperatures and whatnot in here. But I've already had one of them. And it just sort of does it on a daily basis. It monitors the high, monitors the low, you have a look at the screen and it tells you. But this one hooks up via Bluetooth to an app on my phone, and it gives me loads of data from however long it records from. The good thing is, from the kitchen to here, I can still connect via Bluetooth, so it's connected when I need it to. But it'll store the information, and I can come down here, if I'm not connected, if I'm way out of the house or whatever, it stores the information. Next time you hook up, downloads it on the app on your phone, and I'll put a little screenshot up here so you can see what the app looks like and the sort of data on it. But I'm fascinated by it. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and I'll pop a link in the description. Go and have a look on Amazon or whatever, see what you think. It wasn't massively expensive, that I was quite surprised about. I thought it would be more expensive than it was when it hooks via Bluetooth and you've got the app and whatnot, but I am chuffed to bits with it. And we have made it to the plot, and it is time to get on with those jobs of getting things planted out at last. But also, when I've just come here, I've got something rather good to show you, but I've also got something bad to show you, but I'll show you them both. But we'll come to that in a bit. We'll get on with the planting, we'll get set with the different things you've got to do. And I just, when things just catch your eye, when you're up here and you're sort of walking past things every day, seeing different things at different times, like I say, those two things are good and a bad, but we'll see. But we're going to head into the polytunnel because this is where I've got all the plants sort of hanging out, and I'm probably just going to leave these for now, the peas, the dianthus, the little sun gold that's there in the middle. You remember them from the video the other day. Beetroot, the beetroot over there is going out. We've got sweet peas down there, and we've got onions down there, some red barron that's been grown from seeds, so we'll do that. But I guess I'm just going to take, just before we start doing the bulk of this, I'm just going to take 5 minutes out there, mooch about, make a plan, get sorted, get set up, and we'll finally, and I know we've got some things, there's some little lettuces and stuff and whatnot planted out, but this feels like the real sort of start, I guess, of the real planting out for this season. So, to start off with, I'm in what is quite possibly the most awkward place on the plot to film, so hope you're appreciating this. I'm squashed. I'm right in the very far corner here to get access to this bed. It's not too bad. Around and about, it's just really awkward to film, and I've got the big metal, the U-shaped raised bed over here. It's just started raining a bit somehow, so it's all going well. But this bed, champion, dead easy to look after these beds. It's been covered all over the winter, bit of fresh compost, bit of well-rotted manure. It is good to go, and they're rather ill-fated beetroots. Now, if you saw the last video, the one we did about the garden centre, you'll have seen about these beetroots. So if you follow me on Instagram, by the way, Instagram, same name, Mark's Allotment Plot, you'll find me on there, see different pictures and things, that I knocked this entire tray of beetroot on the floor in the greenhouse, upside down. They all came out, they all got squashed, they looked a bit terrible, recovered, potted them on, and I think they're looking blooming marvellous. Now, the variety here is, don't make me say it, Kyogia, I think, is it pronounced? The fancy looking stripy one. Coincidentally, it looks, I should put a disclaimer in there, it looks really good, right, to start with. It looks nice and stripy, but if you peel it and boil it, all the stripes disappear, all that sort of, the red colour bleeds into the white, and all the stripes just disappear. So if you want to use it for like roasting or something like that, fine, crack on, good stuff. But if you're planning on boiling it and pickling it, the stripes disappear. But I had the seeds, so I was gonna use them. But again, it's not massively complicated. They're multi-sown, so there's about anywhere probably between 3 and 6, I reckon, in each bunch. I'm not massively precise when I'm doing the seeds, when I'm multi-sown like this. Do it every year, and it turns out all right. And I think one of the tricks is when it comes to harvesting time, when you see the ones that are pretty big, when you see the ones that are just the right size that you want them at, you can harvest them and leave the rest of the bunch in. So if the rest of the bunch is actually looking a bit small, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can just fire them in, leave them in, and just pick out the ones you want, and the rest of the bunch keep going. Which is kind of why I like the multi-sow, and like doing it with the spring onions. I like doing it with various other sort of bits and pieces, radishes, things like that you can do it with. And I think in this space, in the pallet collar, you can see here, dead simple. I've gone 3 across. Measurement wise, I like to use the old Horry knife as a sort of arbitrary measure, and just kind of about sort of, I don't know, 6 to 8 inches, because they're quite small at the moment. But the leaves on the beetroot will get pretty chunky, won't they? They'll get pretty big, and a bit of the good old blood fishing bone. Look, I've been saying this for ages. Look at this. I keep saying I need to buy another tub of it. I've probably got just about enough to do the planting that I'm doing today, but I must get back into the garden centre or wherever and pick some up. I'm going to end up coming up here, especially in the next month, when I'm going to be doing all the planting out in the polytunnel, and I'll really be needing some of this. I need to go and get some more, so I just need to get my finger out and remember. That's I don't know if it's an age thing or if it's a man thing or what it is, but sometimes I am terrible, absolutely terrible at remembering to go and get things, or to do what I need to do. And you know, it's just one of those things. Life's busy, isn't it? Things happen, things take over, you get distracted, you've got best intentions and all that jazz, and you just sort of forget and get on with that stuff. But I must get more fish blood and bone, because it's incredibly important. Now I think I am actually going to have too many beetroots for the size of this bed for what I'm going to put in it. I'll probably get another 3 rows in there. So I think I've got another gap up there actually where the arch is. So I'll put them up there. I'll not film it because I'm just going to be doing the same as I'm doing here in a different bed. I'll get this finished, but we'll go and sort out some sweet peas after this and some onions. The onions that we've done from seed, and there's a bit of a story to tell you about that because it's not been entirely straightforward, but we'll get cracking with them next. So you know we're getting serious when we're on to the sweet peas. And the sweet peas, they hold a little bit of a special place in my heart. You know, our dearly departed friend Steve from Green Side Up used to love growing sweet peas. He grew loads of them, he used to use them as cut flowers, take them home for his wife Anne. Beautiful. And this is the collection that he used to grow, this is the varieties that he grew. But you right, remember, you'll have seen me faffing on with these obelisks, getting things set up, ready for the season ahead. You may remember, a couple of weeks ago, I did a video about whether you should or shouldn't pinch out sweet peas. Now these ones have been pinched out. And in theory, pinch them out, they should get bushier, you should get more sort of side shoots coming off them, you'll get a lot more blooms, but the blooms will be smaller. Now the ones we'll do down the other end there, I'll set them up, I'll sort them out in a bit. Just next to where we were with the beetroot, they haven't been pinched out, so they should grow more as a sort of single cordon. And in theory, the blooms will be less blooms, but they'll be bigger, they'll be bushier, and the stems will be longer. And that's quite important. If you've got a big vase, and you grow something with really short stems, it's going to cause you a bit of a problem, isn't it? But hey ho, but I think it's 8 plants around here. And look, these are looking brilliant. I think I've got them just at the right time. The root system is looking brilliant on these. Just, like I said, I think I've just caught them in time. I wouldn't really like to leave them any longer for fear of them coming sort of root bound, pop bound inside here. So we grow them in the deep root trainers, and I'm just having a look at the bottom. It's often a good way to do it, isn't it? Have a look at the bottom of your cell trays to see if you can see the roots coming out. That's usually when you need to move them on. But I'm just going to use some on the obelisk, and we've put some, there's only 4 verticals on the obelisk, and I added this sort of purple paracord sort of stuff to it last year, which again is just the job. And I'm gonna, you know, much like I did with the beetroot, you know, these plants, the sweet peas, need nutrition as well, and they get quite hungry. I'm not going to use loads of it, but I am just going to put a little bit of bloodfish and bone in the bottom of the hole there. And I've got one here from last year. I should have brought these over before I actually sort of got on and setting stuff up. And it's been out all year, and it's brittle, and then great comedy timing, the clip has just snapped. So they do have tendrils on them, but for the first few weeks when they're out, they're going to need to be attached to the obelisk. It's a bit windy today, they're going to get battered, they're going to get blown about. They need a little bit of a helping hand for probably the first 2, 3, 4 weeks that they're out. But those tendrils, they'll cling on and they'll grow up and they'll go around there. So in theory, we just pop my gloves back on now that the old now that we know the old clips aren't going to be any good, and I'll just move my plants out the way there. We'll just dig another hole, and this should be big enough. I think last year when I did this in these obelisks, right, one, I put the plants out and they weren't as big. I've really gone all in on the sweet peas this year and getting them ready so that they're ready to go out. And they were a bit short for sort of clinging on to the bottom of the obelisk, which is a bit of it was a right faff, to be honest, to get them growing. But again, I've whacked the obelisk in probably a good sort of 4 or 5 inches deeper than they were last year, which has brought the bottom rung down, which means it's easier for attaching it to the power cord that we've got going up there. So in theory, it should be better this year. But remember, just remember, right, when we're catching up in future videos, because if I can't remember, I'll need your guys' help to remember, in this bed here, in front of the big metal round raised bed that we've done nothing with yet, by the way, it's only half full, these are the ones that are pinched out. The ones that aren't pinched out are going next to the beetroots at the bottom. And I'm absolutely gonna have some left over. So I'm going to put them over the arches. Remember, I'll show you all at the end how it looks, by the way. We'll have a little bit of a mooch around because I've got those other, the good and the bad things to show you at the end there. We'll put some next to the arches. That's a little bit of a sort of change of plan to what I normally had planned for there. But I'm going to use them. We'll put them in there and we'll sort it. Right, sweet peas. Let me get cracking with the rest of these. We'll get on with the onions that we've got a little bit of a story about. Right, enough with the flowers for now. Let's get back onto the veggies, the real deal. And these are red barren onions. They're going from seed. The seed came from grown local. If you've seen other videos earlier in the year, we've got other things over there that were grown from sets. We've got onion sets out. It's a bit of an emergency backup because I actually had some problems with them. And just before we get into that, this is the dedicated onion bed, by the way. You can see it's covered over in weed fabric, keep the weeds down. We've got little dedicated holes for the onions in there. And generally, touch wood, it does really well every year. It's a little bit of a faff to start with because I've got to get and there's a stone in the bottom there. We'll get rid of the stone. I've got to get some of the earth out of there because at this stage, the onions are on quite big cell trays. You know, let me see if I can get that out of there. There you go. You can see they're pretty big, so we need a decent sized hole for them fitting. And the mud gets on top of the weed fabric, and until it rains, it all looks messy, and it annoys me. But anyway, yes, I had a little bit of a problem growing my onions from seed this year, and it was my fault because I did it at the time of when I was moving the greenhouse, and they all got knocked. They just took a bit of a beating. Nothing in particular, they weren't dropped or anything like the beetroot. They just took a bit of a, I don't know, the compost quite wet. I gave them a good watering the other day. It's still quite wet, so it'll break up like this when I take them out. But you can see the roots just starting to come. Again, like I was saying before, when they just start to come and poke out the bottom of your cell trays, it's time they were going out, isn't it? And I was a little bit worried because what are we now? What are we getting towards the end of April sort of time? And I'm thinking, am I too late for getting my onions out from seed? Is it going to be too late? Because there's a wee bit worried about them. But I was sort of reassured the other day, and I was watching Beech Grove Gardens. So I like to watch a bit of Beech Grove. I like to watch a bit of Gardener's World every now and again. And we're just doing the same as the beetroot, by the way. Bit of blood, fish and bone in the bottom of the hole there, just to give them some nutrition when they're in the beds. And I was watching Beech Grove the other day, and George Anderson, you know, the well-known gardener. I say that's the problem with the compost being wet. Again, look, they start to fall apart a bit when I'm taking them out. But not to worry, they'll still survive, they'll be good. And George, good old George, was putting his onions out. His were a lot smaller than mine, the ones he'd done from seed. So, you know, it gave me a little bit of a little bit of a boost in confidence, and I thought, you know what, maybe it's not too late, maybe it'll be fine, they'll be all right. So I'm here full of renewed enthusiasm and vim and vigour for the onions from seed. So these are the Red Baron. I've got some Bedfordshire Champion at home that I've not brought today. I've only got so much time today to get stuff planted out. So let's see, we'll see how much of this bed I can get filled up. And we'll get finished off. I say I've got those few, the good, the bad and the ugly to show you at the end there. A couple of things to show you. And I'll show you everything that I've finished off here. And then I think it might be time for a cuppa. Right, we are just about done. And I'm hiding out in the polytunnel here because the rain outside isn't enough. You know, I mentioned before, we've allegedly got this big heat wave coming this week. And JB's just been texting saying, oh, it's 20 degrees down here, start of the heat wave, it's beautiful. And here's me in Scotland, hiding out inside the polytunnel because it's been raining. However, not to worry, let's head outside, have a look about. We've got the beetroot done, we've got the sweet peas done, we've got the onions done, and there's a couple other things I'm going to show you. The good, the bad and the ugly. We'll show you the good thing and the bad thing that's kind of happening around here because I'm a little bit worried about something. But let's head out, hopefully not in the rain, and we'll see how things are looking. Right, so first off, just around the corner here is where we've been working this morning. So we've got the sweet peas, we've got the beetroot, we've got more beetroot over in the far corner there where I was squashed in right at the very start. Everything needs watering in. I know it is raining, it is just sort of light rain. Everything's going to get a good watering in. This bed here, a bit ad hoc, a bit mishmash. I wasn't really going to put the beetroot in there, but then when I had a look at it, thought there's a bit of space. I thought, why not? We'll put it somewhere. We do have some beetroots left, and we'll see them up here. So we're squeezed in on the arches. We've got some sweet peas here. They've all been tied in. I've sort of tied in as best I can, and we've got some up the back here as well. So when all these bulbs die off, the daffodils and things, they'll not be long. When they've died off, we'll probably put some salady sort of crops in there, so lettuces and whatnot, because the sweet peas, in theory, will grow up over the arches and shade it out a little bit, and then the salad crops will love that. But that's in theory anyway. And alas, we've got the sweet peas over here, the first ones that we've put in the corner there. They're the ones that are hopefully going to grow all big, massive blooms on them because they've been pinched out. But I guess time will tell. But the other things I wanted to show you, let me show you this. This bed here, the salad crops, you might remember, I don't know, you might have seen it, you might not. A couple of weeks ago, lovely little lettuces out, loads of lovely little spring onions. And you might be thinking, spring onions? What spring onions? Well, that's a good question. Let's go in and have a bit of a closer look. Look at them. Something has been attacking them. So some of them have been pulled up like this. Some of them have been munched pretty much down to the ground. This lettuce here has been munched, and some of the other lettuces, looking at them closely, have been munched around the edges. At first I thought they were all right, but they've definitely been munched. And at first I thought maybe it's the pigeons, because the spring onion's been pulled up like this here, these ones here. This is absolutely the MO of pigeons coming over. And we've got the trees, we've got the big trees just over there where the pigeons like to live, and normally they're not really any bother, and I don't think it's pigeons. So the spring onions combined with the lettuces, and we're not finished. Let's come up here to the onions, and you've seen these before where there's been damage to them, but there is fresh damage. And let me show you this. Look, we've got fresh damage here. So normally when it gets damaged, it goes like sort of this on the end, so it all dries up and heals and starts growing again. But we've got fresh damage here, so I'm thinking it might be a rabbit. I'm thinking there might be a rabbit getting back in again. So the lettuces, the spring onions and these onions. So I'm a bit worried about the beetroots over there in the corner, and a little bit worried, I don't know whether they'll go for the sweet peas or not. But the good thing, let me show you something good. Let's come over here and have a look at this bed here. Now it doesn't look like much from here, but let me get in nice and close and look what we've got. Hopefully you can see it there. We've got asparagus. There it is right there, starting to grow. We've got some even bigger in the middle. It's sort of a purpley green colour at the moment, and we've got some over there. I don't know how well it's going to show up on the camera, whether it's going to contrast against the soil or not, but I'm chuffed to bits that the asparagus is starting to put in an appearance. So I was actually a little bit worried about the asparagus a little while ago, because Jessie and JB, again, all the way down south, were texting a wee while ago saying, oh, the asparagus is growing, it's starting to come, here it is. And I'm like, the only thing that was in my bed at the time was thistles that have all been weeded out now, by the way, they've all gone. But I'm glad, a couple of weeks later, obviously up here in Scotland, we're a little bit cooler, takes a little bit more time to get things going, and I'm chuffed to bits, because this is the first year I'm actually going to harvest some of the asparagus. So normally you've got to leave it a couple of years just to get established, just to get itself all a bit nice and cozy in the bed there. So this year, we're going to get some asparagus. Anyway, that is me done. We've got stuff planned out. It feels good. It feels really good to eventually be starting to get everything going properly. It feels bad that something is eating things. However, that's life on an allotment. But that's me done for today. Thank you for watching, folks, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.